Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 57 of The Gavel, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news on our fight to end government weaponization. I'm your host, Ana Toledo, an attorney with more than 30 years' experience that has now relocated to Washington, D.C. to fight in person to shut down the criminal unacknowledged special access program that has taken so much from the lives of so many people. Today is Friday, June 19th, 2026, and this podcast constitutes a permanent historic record of the fight of this community composed of hundreds of thousands of victims of government weaponization. Torture is exported from the freest country in the world, everywhere, in over 60 countries. Even children and their pets are tortured by our own government. My goal, as you know, is to expose the criminal program, because once it is out in the open, it can no longer operate. These are crimes against humanity. When the plausible deniability is gone, it can no longer function. So, as I have told you, I have moved to Washington, D.C. to finish this program and shut down these weapons, not just for Americans that are sheltered, supposedly covered by the United States Constitution, which is the most encompassing constitution in the world, but also against the very last victim in the last corner of the world. So I was a little late because the news has been as you know, the truth avalanche has been amazing. Not necessarily, I always say that good and bad things happen for a good reason, right? So this week it has been an avalanche, and I am going to start. We're going to start before we start our news avalanche. I'm going to start with a Bible verse that, let me just put it here. So I'm sorry for my delay. It's that it was just so much, and I wanted to start on time. So here it is. Or so I think it's here. I'm sorry. Yes, it is here. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, let's look at it here. No, it's not here. Okay, well, I'm just going to read it to you. Let me just remove this. I'm going to read it to you and tell you a nice story of what I heard this morning. This is from Ephesians 4, chapter 4, 29 to 32. And it says, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it might impart grace to the hearers. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you, with all malice, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you." This morning I was listening, as many of you know, I listened to a transistor radio, and I was listening to this pastor, Jeremiah, and he was telling the story of how this pastor was giving his sermon, and at the end, and he didn't have perfect grammar, and at the end of his sermon, as one of the parishioners came and said to him with a list, he had a paper list, and said, "You've made these 17 mistakes while you were speaking." And the preacher replied, "I have done the best I can with what God has given me. Have you?" And I'm just going to leave that there. It doesn't need any further explanation. As I do my best, and we at Targeted Justice fight tooth and nail to shut down the criminals. But sometimes for some people, it's not enough, and that's not nice. So it's good to just reflect on this. Anyways, let's go. For those of you that did not get to read this week's Targeted Justice newsletter, Sean has done us the amazing job of compiling it for us. So here it is.
Tardive dyskinesia, or TD for short, is a neurological movement disorder that causes involuntary, repetitive, and uncontrollable movements, most commonly in the face, tongue, neck, trunk, arms, or legs. Symptoms are allegedly tied to certain prescription drugs, but strangely, some TIs claim to have the symptoms without any medications. Big Pharma has started to advertise chemical medications for what might be part of the targeting program, and MK Ultra. This is not medical advice. See a doctor.
Join Targeted Justice's board member, Dr. Juliet Engel and Kathy O'Brien, as they have an in-depth discussion on MK Ultra. You won't want to miss this.
If you are not already on X.com with a free profile, here's your reason. We have lots of contacts to several news sources, senators, and representatives. Join our digital warriors and start making a difference.
Introducing a brand new website dedicated to victims of government misconduct and violation of their rights, justicewithoutlimits.org. Justicewithoutlimits.org features a survey report about being a victim. Contribute your experiences to this cause. Take the survey, and please screenshot your answers and save it.
Calling all digital warriors. Repost, like, and share this video on all social media. We're on the lookout for volunteers. You can let us know what your skills are by emailing us at tjustice2@proton.me. Put volunteer in the subject line. If you're looking for more targeted justice content, then go to the following link, which will take you to our channel on Rumble. We have our own branded shirts, cups, and other merchandise at our online store. Buy something for yourself or get a gift. We're always accepting donations. You can do so by going to the following link or sending us a check. The donations are tax deductible, and we're a non-profit organization. Thank you so much for watching this video. God bless. God bless. God bless. God bless.
Okay. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, because, as you know, we are heavily censored. And it's part of, I'm so sorry. I'm so upset. I'm very, very upset today because And this is something I wasn't going to share, but I'm going to share with you. Last Sunday, I went to the library to work because I go to the library. And right next to me, they placed a perp who reprogrammed the probes in my nose or something. They did so, like when I was, I had surgery. They put probes in all of my face as part of my W band, but these are directed to torture me. And so they start itching. My entire face starts itching, and particularly my nose. And I was just there working, and my nose started itching. And when I look back, the wound was like that and I hadn't had this since I left Puerto Rico. Well, actually, since Armando helped me electrocute them. So please bear with me, and I'm sorry. It's just very painful. So, but you know what? Rain or shine, I'm here because I have a lot of good news to bring to you. FISA battle has heated up. Even though Section 702, as you know, it supposedly elapsed on June 12th. And supposedly there was a March 2026 FISA court opinion that grandfathered it for a year. For some reason, the criminals have been very nervous, like very desperate to renew it. And it was supposed to be continuing operating, but TIs are reporting, and please write in your comments because I want to know. I want to make sure it's okay. I want to know in your comments if your gang stalking this week has gone down, because some people have reported that it has gone down like a 50%. So, and then Tom Cotton and Thune are desperate to get it renewed. So we want to know, because it seems this is what's happening. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin is making fear-mongering everywhere, saying, speaking on Fox News this Sunday, he said that the terrorism threat level is the highest it's ever been, higher than after 9/11. As he blamed Democrats in Congress for failing to renew Section 702 of the FISA Act after a brief extension of life granted in April expired. He conceded that there are other ways that we can get to what we need to do, which we know because the gang stalking hasn't altogether stopped. But it makes it significantly, listen to this, significantly more difficult. We can cut through a lot of the bureaucracy with 702. Okay, this is why it's so critical to them. And remember that the FBI told Congress, because Massey talked about this, that they have a secret interpretation of the FISA Act. So we don't even know what this guy is referring to, okay? So people are waking up and they are not buying the stories. We have patriots like attorney. We have patriots like attorney Tom Rance. Let me show you. People are waking up. This is not just about targeted individuals, which, although I think that he's targeted. But listen to what he has a good following on social media. Listen to what he has to say.
The fight over the FISA nonsense is going big, right? Now, part of the deal, by the way, part of this deal with this Israel military intel alliance would arguably make it easier for a foreign government, in this case Israel, to be able to spy on Americans, and then they can share that information back with American intel agencies, so they don't have to spy on Americans, but they still get the data, right? It's an illicit and cheap and shady workaround. But regardless, they would rather just get the FISA thing pushed back through, which we know was garbage. It was used to spy on Trump. It was used to do all sorts of bad things. And it's used to spy on Americans, right?
There you have it. People are waking up. Be aware of the fact, you know this. Prior to last year, we weren't having so many people fighting against illegal surveillance, fighting against flock cameras, fighting against 702. We have now, most Americans don't want this, okay? So according to the latest Privacy Oversight Board report, the latest data available, is that in 2022, there were 246,073 non-US persons targeted for surveillance. As it pertains to Americans, we have the number we have is 278,000 FISA warrants for US persons in 2021. So, and here, I'm going to just make a parenthesis, and you should know that this data is not freely giving out to us. The information we publish both in the Substack newsletter and in the webpage, we make sure that we have accurate and documented information. We cannot just say, yeah, it's 5 million people in America, because we know we have numbers of 2017 that say that it's at around 6 million targets around the world. But we're not going to be irresponsible. So some people are going around saying, how come Targeted Justice hasn't updated the numbers? Because they are not available. So before you let your tongue roll and say things that you don't know anything about, do the research. And that's not for the people that are watching me. That's for a person that goes around speaking more than she should be speaking. Anyways, while the collection continues, tech companies could potentially, I told you this last week, without FISA 702, that was their shield, they might feel that the liability is creeping up on them, particularly because now it is known that the people that they allow the surveillance for are people that are not terrorists. I was in those hearings in the Senate when the representatives from T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T were there, and they were being crucified by the senators because that they were inquiring about the fact that their phone records had been given to for the Russia hoax, whatever thing, and the only one that was blatantly, openly careless was T-Mobile. The other two were a little bit more cautious because it was senators, right? But they really blasted them, and I think that at this point they are more careful, particularly because there's people like Steve Friend, the police whistleblower, the FBI whistleblower. Let me show you what he is revealing. I love Steve Friend because he's been telling us information that is very useful to us.
Perfectly and serendipitously timed with the end of FISA 02, or as it's being advertised, that FISA was not renewed, and then this is the greatest tool that we have, the ability to spy on the American people without a warrant. It's a 12-month renewal, which means this tool is still at the fingertips of the FBI in order to spy on the American people without a warrant. But we're getting from the politicos out there and from people within national security and from law enforcement saying that this tool is no longer available, and we're going to need it if we're going to stop these sorts of violent actions in the future. We got in just under the wire because we foiled this attack just before FISA expired.
So it seems that the end, June 12th, the end of FISA actually hurt these criminals. I don't know. More shall be revealed. Anyways, on this topic of FISA 702, what makes it really even more urgent that it is not renewed, and that's why do not just sit back and not do anything. We need you to continue writing to your representative and your senator saying thank you for not voting in favor of it, or if they voted in favor, say shame on you for voting in favor of its renewal without the warrant requirement. Either way, you need to make your voice heard. These people, the only way they react is knowing that their position, that their office, it's at stake. So the Supreme Court this week denied Carter Page certiorari regarding his individual claims, his Bivens claims against the FBI criminals that made the application to spy on him through FISA. Now, I thought that it was just completely not allowed, but it was that the decision telling him no, dismissing those claims was based on statute of limitations, not on substantive grounds, because the first publication was done in 2017 in the Washington Post, and he didn't file suit, I believe, until 2019. And so the court said that the 1 year of statute of limitations had expired. That's the Court of Appeals. So that is very encouraging, because it's not like the court said, no, you don't have a cause of action because they had qualified immunity. So you see the difference there, right? Well, but still, in this case, he got paid $1.25 million for the illegal FISA warrants against him, but in his claims against the agencies, okay? Because he sued the agencies under the Patriot Act, and then he sued the individual criminals, FBI criminals, okay? And then the FBI criminals got away, but under statute of limitations. So we don't have a court that has actually adjudicated the illegal FISA warrants on anyone. And that's why you have to continue, where I'm going to talk about that in a little while. You have to continue working on your Privacy Act request. So the DC District Court and the DC Court of Appeals, it concluded that he filed late, the statute of limitations. As it pertains to you and to me and to everybody in this community, you should know, even if the FISA warrant was issued, let's say in 2010, the statute of limitation doesn't apply to you, generally speaking, because it is not until you enter into the knowledge, until you get the knowledge, the information of the warrant, that the statute of limitations starts to run. So do not be worried, because so then I'm going to lose all the claims for the statute of limitations prior to 1 year before. No, you don't. The period starts to run depending on your state, of course, whatever, it's usually 1 year, but it starts to run on the moment that you get the information about it. That's number one. And number two, some states allow, other states don't allow a letter interrupting, and that you have to look it up with an attorney or Grok or somewhere, interrupting the period to file a lawsuit. Anyways, but that's going to be down the line. Right now, we are on the right track, and I am so happy, because these are precedents. The fact that Carter Page got paid, you already have on your balance sheet, you already have the Carter Page precedent that for 4 illegal FISA warrants, they paid him $2.5 million. That's a done deal there, okay? Now, it's a road. You have to look at this. It's like precedents and like for example, when the senators were going to pass a law saying that for each breach of their privacy, they were going to get $500,000. They set a precedent there for others. Then they realized, oh my God, we can't do this, because then we're setting the bar for other people to get paid the same thing. And then they didn't pass it. But the truth is that that's in the books. So that is something that, and this is not torture. I'm just talking only FISA. I'm just talking violation of privacy. I'm not talking gang stalking. I'm merely talking about the violation of your privacy rights. Okay. So, for us, it's very encouraging that we have these precedents that are being created. Let me show you. See here, he had a claim under the Patriot Act, Section 2712, and listen to this, because this applies to each and every victim of government weaponization. It creates a limited private right of action against the U.S. government for money damages when someone is aggrieved by any willful violation of certain FISA provisions. Okay? Such as the use of information acquired under FISA and the criminal penalties for unauthorized surveillance for improper use and disclosure. These are the statutes, some of the statutes that we're going to use to make the criminals at DHS, FBI, InfraGard be prosecuted for these crimes of gangs and Citizen Corp for using the FISA information to chase victims of government weaponization around. Okay, so here's a comparison of the Patriot Act claims and the Bivens Act claims. Now, courts are very reluctant to recognize, as they did in Targeted Justice v. Garland, new claims under Bivens. They usually allow them for unreasonable search and seizure, which is exactly what they do every time they come into your house without a warrant. So I think that once we get the Privacy Act information, well, that's going to be very valuable. That's why I say to everybody, even if you're in Europe, in the 27 European countries, or in the United States, file your Privacy Act request. So Carter Page had, like I said, claims under the Privacy Act, the Patriot Act, and claims under the Bivens, which is a direct cause of action for the equivalent of civil rights violation, but perpetrated by federal agents. Because here's what most people don't understand. The Civil Rights Act was created to punish state officials that violate civil rights, but it doesn't apply to federal officials that violate your civil rights. So, because I guess, they didn't think that the federal government was going to violate your civil rights. So then they created in, I think it was 1970 or 1972, against an FBI, 7 unnamed FBI agents, they created what is called the Bivens cause of action, which you go against the federal agent. And by the way, InfraGard criminals, you have no immunity. We're coming after your big houses with pools and cars and everything. We're coming after you. You do not have immunity to do surveillance on law-abiding Americans illegally placed on the terrorist list. Because guess what? You listen to our conversations, you read our emails, and you know we're not criminals. And you still continue doing the illegal actions that the FBI criminals tell you to carry out. So quit while you're ahead. That's my advice. Not an attorney advice, just a personal advice. Anyways, Tulsi. Well, most of you know that Tulsi left yesterday, and I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed, because even though she did something, she did a lot of good things. She did wonderful things. And one of the most important things that, just for humanity, was exposing criminal Fauci and how all his shenanigans with the CIA and the Wuhan lab and the gain of function. She has declassified information that is just so useful. And what I say, okay, if Biden gave Fauci a pardon, guess what? All the intelligence community criminals that colluded with him, they don't have a pardon. Go after them. Shut down the Denver domestic operations that are illegal under Executive Order 12333. They're not supposed, the CIA is not supposed to operate within the United States. Stephen Miller said it. They know it. So I hope Pulte shuts them down, but that'll be something that we have to see. Anyway, so Tulsi left, and she had warned that she was going to declassify 2 things. The Havana syndrome, the report, remember how she completely discarded the intelligence community reports, and then she was going to declassify MK Ultra documents, and she was going to declassify the FISA court opinion documenting the FBI criminality that the FBI criminality regarding the applications they submit to the FISA court has not stopped. Those three things she did not declassify. So that's a disappointment for us. I don't know if it'll be done, but yesterday Paul T showed up to his first day in job. As you remember, I told you last week that thanks to Trump's nomination of Paul T, since the Democrats hate him so much, that's why the renewal until July 3rd of the FISA 702 did not go through. So this here is what was posted today. And I go, wait, what? They said that he caught ODNI off guard, arrived a day early yesterday, showed up to work to begin identifying employees working against the White House. Accountability is finally reaching the intelligence community. The saboteurs are on the way out. And now this is what worries me, because it says Bill could remain acting head of the agency until the Senate passes the SAFE Act. And what that tells me, because President Trump has says, no, you're going to, like Ana Paulina Luna said, you're going to tie FISA to the SAFE Act. And we say no, and that's where you all come in. No. You do not tie FISA unless it has a warrant requirement in there. And until you prohibit the purchase of information from data brokers. You need to say, hi, thanks for listening to me. I'm here again writing to you because you need to vote against FISA 702. It is not for the collection of foreigners, information of foreigners. It is for the spying and illegal surveillance and violation of the Fourth Amendment of law-abiding Americans. Get a warrant. Anyway, so as you know, Paul T was, the gift that allowed FISA 702 to expire. However, last week, President Trump announced that his substitute, that the person he was nominating is Jay Clayton, who currently is the district attorney, United States attorney for the Southern District of New York. Now, Tom Cotton and Thune were really happy of his nomination, which gives me the creeps because those two are deep state. So if those two are happy about it, that means that this is probably not a great guy for us, right? He's probably, and he does have intelligence security clearance and all that. So the thing is that Tom Cotton, this past Wednesday, Tom Cotton immediately set a hearing to confirm Clayton. And Trump said, no, you're not gonna have those hearings until you confirm his substitute in New York, because he already nominated a substitute. So he says, because what happened? Remember what they did in New Jersey? They didn't confirm Abba, that the woman that he nominated, and Trump hasn't gotten a lot of his nominations confirmed. So he said, no, until I get confirmed his nomination as the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, you're not going to hold his confirmation hearings. That was smart of him. So it's going to force the senators and the rhinos in there to confirm his nomination. Now, Trump ordered Republicans exactly to let me show you Paul T. Okay, Paul T. There. Paul T's bulldog reputation. This is from I think it's from Gateway Pundit. Triggered a bipartisan terror in Congress as the anxiety led to an expiration of the FISA renewal. His strength is that I told you that Scott Adams, who is somebody that I really appreciated, admired, and loved from afar, had a high regard for this guy. So I think he must have, because he said he had a great tool set. Anyways, his strength is that number one, he has no intention of ever running for office. He's like an independent millionaire. He's not interested. And zero interest in being politically strategic, a source told the Daily Mail. Oh, this is Daily Mail. The bad news is supposedly that he is supposed to act as a wreckage ball at ODNI. That Tulsi had already eliminated 40% of the personnel there. Now, ODNI is supposed to supervise the CIA, but you already know that while Tulsi was trying to look through her team, was looking through 40 boxes of MK Ultra materials, the CIA criminals came and took them away. So I don't know how much leverage and power they have. However, he did say on the first day of the job, which was yesterday, he said he directed ODNI staff to pull together a list of about 300 candidates to be fired, listen to this, from the National Counterterrorism Center in coming weeks. The national, they have 1,000 employees, more or less. The National Counterterrorism Center is the one that is in charge. I'm going to read to you right now because I had to make sure to get it right. They have more than 1,000 employees, but it's comprised 60% is their own employees, and 40% are employees from other agencies like CIA, DHS, FBI. Okay, and so and also from contractors from 20 different federal agencies like DOD, DHS, FBI, CIA. The NCTC is the belly of the beast. They are the ones that maintain the terrorist identities datamar environment that is also known as TIDE. It serves as the primary U.S. government organization for analyzing and integrating supposedly all terrorism-related intelligence, foreign and domestic, except purely domestic terrorism. It produces strategic and tactical assessment, warnings, alerts, and advisories for the President, White House, Congress, IC, military, law enforcement, and foreign partners. It covers terrorist groups, capabilities, plans, intentions, emerging threats, and use of new technologies. Now, they do what is called as the, here it is, as the TIDE, the Terrorist Identities Data Mart Environment. There is an audit report of the FBI that said these are the people that are supposed to place you on the list. Now we have audit report 08-16 from the FBI. The Inspector General did that report saying that the FBI criminals were jumping hoops and they were not submitting. And this, I think, they were not submitting the nominations to the National Counterterrorism Center, and they were doing it in field offices. And they were also receiving nominations from their attaches in foreign countries, and they were not going through the National Counterterrorism Center. So they do the identity management and terrorist watch listing, that the whole entire thing. And supposedly the FBI is supposed to just maintain the watch list pursuant to this information I obtained. Now, for those of you that have done your Privacy Act request to ODNI, as I have, well, they said, no, I have nothing on you. Well, you're lying. And of course, I'm going to be putting the, making the appeal and placing it on the Targeted Justice website for you to copy. So what we know now is that they do the information sharing and warning to other agencies, to the White House, to the intelligence community, to Congress, military, foreign partners, state, local law enforcement, and private sector. So here you have the differences. The TIDE is a big classified intelligence database. It is NCTC's master repository for everything the U.S. government knows about individuals linked to international terrorism and some U.S. persons. It includes highly sensitive details that cannot be shared widely. And then the TSDB is the operational watch list. Okay, so we have to, the information regarding how many people are on this list is not readily available. We have tried from newspaper articles, from court records that sometimes FBI makes an admission of how many people. I have read depositions where these people have been interrogated. Unfortunately, after the big triumph that the people from Mr. Abbas, like FBI versus FICRE, which reached the Supreme Court, after that case, there hasn't been so much successful litigation allowing for discovery exposing these details. That is why I repeat, your Privacy Act request is instrumental in the initiatives that we're going to carry out at Targeted Justice, that I'm not going to talk about right now because they are going to be happening in the coming weeks. But I do tell you, we are going to force these agencies to reply to your Privacy Act request. So please have yours ready. Anyways, Havana syndrome. I told you I was coming here because the topics that were in everybody's mouth were FISA 702, illegal surveillance, and Havana syndrome. Well, the Russia hoax narrative is completely falling apart, and Catherine Herridge is not mentioning it. But the terms anomalous health incidents and Havana syndrome are all over the place, and they are going mainstream. As you know, after that 60 Minutes report, it's no longer a myth. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, as they wanted most people that are not victims to believe. David Grush is a former United States Air Force major, Afghanistan veteran, intelligence official. This guy was inside of the system, who gained prominence as an unidentified anomalous phenomena, UFOs, formerly UFOs, whistleblower. He served as an intelligence officer in the Air Force, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the National Reconnaissance Office. As many of you might know, this is the office that they have low orbit satellites and would be able to detect directed energy weapons attacks by foreign nations. These are the guys that can tell you, no, how directed energy weapons attacks happening in the United States are not coming from foreign nations, because they are the ones that monitor this. Anyway, this guy he worked at the Pentagon, but he is no longer working directly for the federal government. He is a special assistant to Mr. Burleson. And let me just show you what he's being saying, because that's why Catherine Herridge is not touching this with a 10-foot pole, because it's no longer the Russia narrative.
I've seen it all. I've seen anomalous health incidents happen to key government officials helping me. Akin to, I know you had Catherine Herridge on a few months ago, and obviously 60 Minutes did a piece based on her work back in March. And I've even seen that, which is disgusting and sick, seeing non-kinetic directed energy weapon systems used against officials, and some of the same medical effects that Catherine in 60 Minutes has discussed. Unfortunately, I have close friends of mine that were helping me in my investigation that suffered as well. And all.
There you have it. It's not Russia. It's not Russia. And the reason why I believe Herridge is not covering him is because this guy is being punished with directed, and his partner with directed, and his whistleblowers with directed energy weapons attacks, because it's the CIA criminals that don't want him digging any further. Fortunately, he's working with Representative Eric Burlington, who is he belongs to the House Freedom Caucus, and I think he understands the targeting program. His office is one of the friendliest ones I've been to in Congress. So this is really encouraging that we have people like this guy there who is not afraid to speak, who's likely being attacked, and he will tell the truth. And he is working with somebody like Burleson who can open. Burleson, remember one thing, he sits on the same Luna committee to expose government secrets. So he may be able to convince Luna, it's not just MK Ultra never ended. Let's investigate the directed energy weapons attacks happening in America. Now, if you have been a victim of lawfare, this is very important. This was covered in the Targeted Justice newsletter, a video newsletter. But I wanted to make an emphasis on this. Okay, I seldom promote you giving information to any clearinghouse or anyone that pop out of nowhere and say, harvest your data. Oh, tell me how many attacks you've had, since when that the only people, Targeted Justice, you know who we are. And many of you know, because you have provided, for example, when I did the appeal for the Fifth Circuit and I put those interested parties in there, my Schindler's List, you know that we have never shared your information with anybody, because as an attorney, I treat it with utmost confidence. And I can speak about the miracles, but I don't mention the saint. I do speak about the children that are tortured with directed energy weapons, but I don't say their names, nor their parents' names. Anyways, this is one thing that I really urge every single person of you that has been a victim of lawfare. Jill vetted them and they are legit. And what you do is that you submit, if you have, for example, let me just give you an example. You had an eviction case for your property that the person's being, for 7 months living in your house for free, and the judge is just sitting on it. And you see the law, and you have, provide the case number, provide the name of whatever it is that they ask for you there. I have here, and I'm going to put here the Google link to the document. I'm going to put it in the chat so that you do this, because I know most of us, this is the way that they take your money away, by doing this criminality. So please, this is a really good effort, and I urge every victim of lawfare to submit your information. After all, you're not submitting private information. You are, let me do a caveat there. You are submitting about your targeting. You are submitting the information about your, how do you call this? A public document, because it's a public case. And yes, in some cases, let's say that your child was taken illegally, you believe it was illegally taken from you. Well, guess what? You might leave out their name, just put the last name or the initials, make it so that you're not violating a norm of privacy, because usually minor names, for example, when I had when I had the lawsuit, TJ v. Garland, I had 2 minors there. Well, I only had to put their initials. So just put the initials of a child, if that's the case of your lawfare. Or, there's just so much that has gone on for so many people. Like, you were illegally fired from a job and the court didn't give you the time of day, or you were sued in a frivolous lawsuit and the judge just sat on it. Please reach out to these people, because they are legit and they are doing a really important, this is all made of blocks. What targeted parents are doing is one good thing. What J6ers are doing, all of this is a pyramid. Everybody is contributing in their own way to shut down weaponization. And this is a really important tool. So I urge every one of you that has been a victim of it, do not hesitate. Jill vetted them and they are legit people. Okay, let's do some housekeeping. I put in the Targeted Justice has a Printify shop, and we put MK Ultra Never Ended t-shirts there. They are really pretty, and I hope that you check it out, because you can, in our website, there's a link to it. Just take a look at them. We need for you to put the bumper sticker in your car, or the metal, have your how do you say this, the thing that sticks to the car, oh my god, the magnet sign, put them there. They work. They actually work. Okay, every car that is sitting behind you on a red light is reading your sign. I want to get one of those. MK Ultra Never Ended. I'm going to have one done for my car. Anyways, so please try to do your part of, for example, downloading the flyers in the Targeted Justice website and going to your state reps and giving them away, the one on mass formation and the one on Railtron. We just need to wake up people. We just need, I carry them in my bag with me all the time. Just this week, I'll tell you an example. Just this week, I was in a university library, and I just, I talk to everybody. I just go around because I'm so lonely. I don't have anybody to talk to. So I just talk to people on the street, and I start talking to this guy, and he's a graduate student of neurology or neuroscientist. And I said, oh my God, I have to give you these. And I pulled out my two MK Ultra Never Ended flyer and mass formation and the Railtron one. And I said, you are going to be so instrumental, because there's going to be a lot of studies done of the harm that has been done to people with these cell towers and with these satellite weapons. So I urge you to look into our website, and you just to anybody, you can pick a conversation and give them a flyer. That's how I do it. And I do it really nicely. And it just works, because when they see you, this is a good person. This is not a criminal. This is not a terrorist. They look into your eyes and they know you're genuine. So I really urge you to carry in your bag a couple of flyers, because they work. Particularly, as I was telling a friend in Arizona, the one with the blue rectangle that says, police, they are lying to you. We are the 278 names in the FISA that are in the FISA list. Okay. So I know I'm running a little bit out of time, but I want to read to you what the DHS criminals replied to my Privacy Act request. And I am going to be putting look at this. It's just so absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to put my reply to them on the Targeted Justice website so you can copy. First of all, I did it in writing, and they are such gaslighters that they said, oh, you have to put it in writing. Excuse me, if I hadn't put it in writing, how come you're replying to me? Oh, you have to put an affidavit. Mine had an affidavit and a copy of my ID. So it's complete gaslighting that it's being done. But now they are asking that I identify the specific office within DHS where they have the information I am asking for. So first of all, this is not in the Privacy Act. Second of all, it's just I can just imagine the face of a judge when I go to a court of law and I said, look at what these criminals, I'm not going to say criminals, but look what these people answered. This is illegal, and it's not just, it's beyond illegal. It's frivolous. You need to impose sanctions on these people. So it's just so you know, you're not the only one that are getting these ridiculous replies from these criminals, and they just refuse to understand that Privacy Act gives us an absolute right to see everything in that the agency has on you. Like, one of the things they said to me is, oh no, Department of Homeland Security was funded in 2003, so we cannot give you information prior to that. I don't care. Give me the information after 2003. But don't write that stupid comment. You can just produce the information or let me see it with a disclaimer. We only have information from 2003 on, because guess what? It's 2026. That's 23 years of information. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And what this shows me, this is good news, because what this shows me is their desperation, that they really don't know what to answer. So it's a win-win for us. Like when they really torture me, like they did at the beginning of this show, you know what? It just tells me, it's a pat on my back, because it tells me I'm doing things right. And even though it can be painful, guess what? I know I'm hurting them more, because you are watching, and because you're sharing this podcast, and because people all around the world are seeing this, and they cannot stop me. Anyways, kudos to our digital warriors. Please remember that to follow Jim, at Real Coffee Jim. He is reminding everybody of the daily intention, meditation, and prayer at noon, exactly at noon Eastern time. So you calculate which is your time, so that all of us. So what I did was that I put it in my alarm at 11:57, so that at 12 I just sit down and do at least 5 minutes more if I can, saying, the targeting program has ended. I am now free. And you just do it the most organic way it feels to you. Okay. So please subscribe to Jim at Real Coffee Jim on X if you need a reminder, and remember to click on get his notifications. As you know, I have decided to stay here in DC until freedom already happened. It's happened behind closed doors until it has been out on the open. And I'm just really grateful to those of you that have made a commitment to help me and that make it possible for me to be here. I am absolutely certain that the work that Targeted Justice has done has made a huge difference in our effort for freedom. And the reason I know that is because when I meet people, not only do they already know what a targeted individual is, or they know what Targeted Justice is, but their attitude is completely different. It's more sympathetic. It's more like, tell me more about it. I want to hear about it. Okay. So my deepest gratitude to you, because I am your representative here, and I do it with great honor, dedication, and determination to never stop. I wake up every morning to shut down the criminals. And finally, to all my courageous and wonderful fathers that have been such amazing warriors, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday. I know it's very hard for many of us this holiday since we don't have our fathers, but I to those of you that out there, I hope you have a great Father's Day, and let's hope that next year we can celebrate it in freedom and record a lot of the lost time that we have. It's we can make up. I firmly believe the following. I firmly believe that once we are free, since we are going to enjoy life so much more, because we will be appreciative of freedom, of the little things that now we don't have, but that before we became targeted, we took for granted. So let's just look forward to a next Father's Day being one in complete and absolute freedom, where you can thoroughly enjoy even the last taste of that delicious cake that you celebrate with. Anyways, thank you all. Thank you all to my warriors. Thank you all for being here. And please share this podcast, because one day it is going to land on the screen of the person that has the authority to pull the plug on the weapons. And that's exactly what we need, for them to realize that it is average civilians, average good people that have been subjected to this travesty, and it needs to stop. Final announcement. I am on the lookout for the hearings for the MK Ultra. Next week, I'm going to inquire as to when are they going to happen, because I want you, for the most those of you that can travel here, I will, as soon as I find out when they're going to be, for those of you that can travel here, I will notify you, because we need to have a packed room. That's number one. Number two, I hadn't been doing the monthly meetings because we started with 12 people. And in the last meeting, I only had 2, and 1 was out of town. Thank you, Lorianne. So I'm going to commit to doing the July meeting, but I need you. I need the people in the DMV area to show up, because I need people to come with me to Congress. I need to coordinate with you to distribute flyers in the police and FBI associations. I need volunteers to help me here. I am all alone. Please come to the meeting. I am going to hold the meeting, but I hope, particularly those people from Virginia that are writing to me, oh, do you know other people? You're right next door. Please come to the meeting. Make it a point. I don't make it early at 10 in the morning. I make it at 1 p.m. so that people from everywhere can come. So this is my commitment to you. I will make the meeting. I will hold a meeting on the second Saturday of July, but you need to show up, because we need to organize our strategy. Okay. So I am thanking you in advance for that. Thank you to all of those of you. The meeting will be here in DC. Beyond Annette, please come here. It's going to be here in DC. What I do is I reserve a room in a library. And then Corey, please look into the Targeted Justice newsletter. Will make the announcement. So please, if you haven't subscribed yet, and please bear in mind the following: the criminals are unsubscribing people from the Targeted Justice newsletter. So check. If you have subscribed, please check. That's one of the ways that they demonetize and sabotage us. So please, if you have subscribed, please check that you are still subscribed. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. And God bless you all. God bless you. And I really look forward to seeing you next week with better news. Let's hope, because Mr. Pulte said already he's going to fire 300 right away, 300 from the NCTC. I hope that's a good thing. Let's see what happens. And do not forget to write today, please. No, actually, no, because the criminals might erase it. Monday morning. Yeah. Through their contact page to your 2 senators, even if it's Tom Cotton, you tell him, Tom Cotton, we know you oppose it, but I'm going to make sure that I campaign against you in your reelection if you continue to insist on FISA 702. So your 2 senators and your representative, write to them and tell them, don't you dare pass FISA 702 without the requirement, or else I'm going to make sure you don't get reelected. I have nothing better to do but to fight for that, fight for my freedom. Anyway, thank you, everybody, and God bless. Good night.